enforce them.
Paula, what happened when you filed a complaint with the Kentucky Department of Labor relative to the improper entries made on the workers' compensation reports? What happened to you?
Yeah, I had an accident, and they were reporting it, but it wasn't filed right. I mean, I had my notes here where I was going to write it down, but the details of the accident was not reported to OSHA at all. So OSHA came in and told them to redo my paperwork, and they gave them a fine.
Did you file a retaliation complaint concerning
Shortly
that?
thereafter, within a couple of weeks or so thereafter, I got put off work. This was in early June of '08 that I filed the OSHA, and it was early July that I got put off work.
And did you file any type of discrimination complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the federal commission?
I did.
And after you filed that complaint, how were you treated? Were you respected more?
Well, actually, in a way I was. They just kept me off work for several months, Amy.
Well, wait a minute.
Yes.
They told you just to go home and draw a check? I mean,
they put me off for a fitness for duty evaluation, and I mean, for several months. I went through all kinds of testing. And
when did they take you off work for that one?
July the 3rd of '08.
And when did you return to work?
October the 13th of 2008.
And how long was it that you worked without a check?
For the first couple of months I was off without pay, and finally I called John like early September. I said, John, I need some money. So I was off without pay, and I really didn't know why, and I still don't know why.
So basically they said, well, you blew the whistle, so we think you're crazy for doing it, so we're just going to run you through these tests and hope some of them stick. Is that,
well,
almost anybody, let's be honest, when it comes to psychologists, when you get to handpick your shrink and they're getting paid, there are professionals out there that will make a finding, whoever's paying the check.
But Paula, in your case, did they ever find you unfit for duty, those people?
No, they said I could go right back to work. I mean, they said I might have been a little active hyper, but to me, my hyperness I use to take care of my customers. I mean, I can do several things at once. So
how many months was it after they said you could go back to work that they actually reinstated?
They said I could go back to work in early August of '08, the July the 3rd appointment I had. They said I could go back, and it was around August the 14th, and I didn't go back until October the 13th,
right.
2 months after that.
Well, after you made those other complaints, did you ever, when you said you filed complaints with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission?
Yes, sir.
Did things get better after that?
No, sir. The phone started ringing. No, sir, they didn't get better. Actually, like I said, the more I went to make complaints or to try to fix things, the harder it got for me. I mean, And
did you file then a retaliation complaint with the EEOC?
I did. I filed 2 complaints with the EEOC.
And after you filed the retaliation complaint, did they get better?
No, sir.
How quickly did they get worse?
I ended up getting fired a few months later. So I got fired on December the 31st of 2008. I can say that without tears right now for whatever reason.
Grievances with the city?
I filed a couple of grievances, and there's...
When did you file the first grievance, or you went in to file a grievance anyway? About when was that?
Well, I had filed a grievance in March, but I also tried to file a grievance on May the 1st when an incident happened with my director and myself. I tried to file a grievance then, but the HR person would not let me file a grievance. Intake. She said it was an intake.
All right, and when did you get the results on that intake?
Okay. This is what you've got to know, Amy. I tried to file a grievance on May the 1st, 2008. The HR person said, you can't file a grievance for this or that. You have to file an intake, which is the same.
Same thing.
May the 1st, 2008. I went to file a retaliation lawsuit on December the 6th of 2008. On December the 23rd, I received a response from the May the 1st complaint. I received it on December the 23rd. But when the letter...
Just listen to the next part.
When the letter was dated December the 5th,
okay,
it was postmarked December the 22nd, but my lawsuit was filed December the 6th. Okay, predated December the 5th. The post office date said the 22nd of December, and I received it on December the 23rd.
And how soon thereafter were you fired?
Actually, the next week.
Wow.
And I called my lawyer, and I when I talked to him, I said, you know, this has December the 20th. This letter has the 5th on it, and he said, well, what's the postmark? And, you know, he told me to look at it right then. And, I mean, it was really, as soon as I got it, I called him.
And that's one thing that's really important for anybody else out there that's going through that. When you send something, when you receive something in the mail, staple the envelope
To the letter.
to the document, because I see that time and time again.
So I filed my lawsuit on December the 6th, and they received it 2 weeks later. And 2 weeks after that, I was called into the HR department to say I was being suspended for insubordination, pending termination.
Paula, when you
Yes,
had
sir.
returned to work finally on October the 13th, what kind of workload did they give you?
Whole lot. I've already had a whole lot of stuff where I had been off since July the 3rd.
So
And
you had all the back work.
I pretty much 80% of it. I mean, they're saying that they did some of it, and I think they only did the necessities, like when someone came in, they needed a permit. But there is a whole lot of paperwork to do when you do a permit. I was at the front, they moved me from the back to the front counter, which is, you know, service, and they gave me the HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, to do the permits and all the paperwork, which prior to that, another employee, my supervisor, did that. They also gave me the electrical permits, okay? Prior to that, another employee, another supervisor did that. So they give me this one's job, and moved me from the back to the front counter. And then when I went back to work in October, there was so much work and so much stacks.
And then you had people coming in.
Yes, and there was a
You know,
whole
you
lot of
couldn't sit down and
interruptions.
finish.
And you know, you have to do zip codes and addresses and, you know, just back and forth. But, you know, for every commercial permit that was done, there was a commercial secretary, but I did all the HVAC. For every new residential permit, there was a secretary, but I did all the new residential HVAC permits. I mean, heating and air conditioner goes into every new building, every new house, so, and all the electrical, I had to do all the electrical, so I had several people's
A
jobs.
small town. This was in Lexington.
In Lexington.
About how many people live in Lexington?
Oh, I don't know how many people.
What? How many?
300,000 maybe?
How many permits? I mean, guesstimate.
How many customers did you communicate and talk to in a year?
I'd say it was probably 5,000 to 6,000, and that's not even including phone calls.
Okay,
So,
relevant to that, did you, prior to the date that you were terminated, ever know of any customer who reported a complaint about you?
no. And I was there 7.5 years when I got suspended.
And 5,000 plus.
Yes,
Wow.
a year.
When you finally then made an open records request to get records from the city, urban county government, when you went to get records from them or through required production documents that they had to give, how many people's names had actually then later filed some kind of written complaint whose name you never heard of?
Actually, it was one.